How's it going, everyone? Today's how-to video is all about the threads that you're going to need for sewing leather. So when I first started working with leather, there's quite a lot of options of threads and it can be a bit overwhelming right at the beginning. So we're just going to talk through the different ones that I use on the courses and on sewing on domestics. So what I use on my industrial machines is actually a thread called Nylon-Bonded thread. And it's really beautiful because it's actually all woven together. So you can't separate out the different sort of strands of the thread. So it makes it very, very strong and it's brilliant. So in comparison to cotton, for example, that over time would perish, the nylon bonded is going to keep your bag together forever. So there's different thicknesses of that thread. The thickness that I tend to use for top stitching is one called an M20. Really beautiful for sort of an obvious, quite big stitch. And then all of my basic seam lines, I tend to use an M40. So that in general is what I use on my industrials, but I have sometimes used a slightly thinner version of the nylon bonded in an M60. And this is possible to use on the domestic machines, but the only thing I do find is it's really hard to source it on a smaller reel than this. So what you might have to do is actually get a spool holder that then attaches to the back of your domestic machine, and you could potentially use this, or what I have sourced, which is brilliant, is a Gutermann top stitching thread. So it's as strong, it just has a really, really nice smaller spool for you to use. It looks wonderful as a top stitch detail, but again, going back to sewing on domestics, I tend to use the thinner thread on my bobbin when I'm doing a top stitching thread. So you'll mount this on the top, have this on the bobbin, and then for all of your basic seam lines, you're just going to use the thinner thread. And the Gutermann is a really good brand. You sometimes pay a little bit more for it than your basic threads, but I think it's always worth doing it. I hope you found that how-to useful. Thank you so much for watching, and leave a comment down below if you've got any questions.